In the beginning of Season 1, we're introduced to our main character, Shigeo Kageyama, or as we know him throughout the series, Mob. Mob is a young middle schooler with insane psychic abilities. He works for a fake psychic named Arataka Reagan, and we're first introduced to their dynamic in Episode 1, where Reagan tries to exorcise a ghost, it doesn't work, he calls in Mob, and Mob deals with it easily. Like always, Reagan manages to convince the ever-gullible Mob that the reason he didn't defeat it was because it was too weak. Later we are introduced to Mob's love interest, Tsubomi Takane, at his middle school, and we get one more fight with the ghosts of Honaido Tunnel, in which again, Mob does the work, and Reagan states they were too weak for him to act. Later, Mob and Reagan go to a girls' school to exorcise a spirit. At the front gate, Reagan is stopped and mistaken for a pervert while Mob slips in. Mob then corners the spirit easily and defeats them, but the spirit talked to Mob, asking if he is living life to the fullest. Thinking on that question, the next day he decides to join the telepathy club, but at the last second decides to join the body improvement club instead so he can be more desirable for his crush Tsubomi. Later at Reagan's office they have a heart-to-heart about popularity and wanting to be liked, and when he leaves, Mob is tricked by a woman claiming to make him popular. She brings him to a cult being run by a spirit, Dimple, who is mind-controlling people using laughter as an emotional gateway. He tries it on Mob, it doesn't work, then challenges him to a milk drinking competition. If you laugh, you lose. He puts something in Mob's drink, then when he spits it out, claims that Mob lost. This angers Mob, who then cancels all of Dimple's magic. Dimple then berates him, saying he has a terrible life because he has no emotions. This causes Mob's stored emotions to reach 100%, releasing his rage, and he takes out Dimple easily. The next day, Mob wakes up with a weakened Dimple in his room. Dimple explains to Mob that he wants to work for him and won't do anything bad anymore, so Mob spares his life and brings him to Reagan. Dimple sees Reagan as a fake, but doesn't tell Mob, and Reagan can't see Dimple, so he tells Mob that he must be really weak to keep his cover. We then go to the school delinquent Tenga. Him and his men have beef with the Black Vinegar Middle School, and ask the Body Improvement Club to help them fight. When they refuse, Tenga decides to set Mob up to be captured by his enemies, forcing the Body Improvement Club into action. It works, and they defeat the Black Vinegar School members. Then a fellow Esper from the Black Vinegar Middle School appears, and defeats all of Mob's friends with ease. Mob unties himself from the Esper Taruki's power and tells him that he shouldn't use his power to fight. Taruki attacks Mob, but it has no effect, and Mob states that he isn't going to fight back because Reagan told him Espers shouldn't use their powers to hurt others. Taruki and Mob get into an argument, Mob stating Taruki is a bad person, and even Dimple is better than him. This leads Taruki to be enraged and fight Mob with all his power. Mob, still refusing to fight back, eventually passes out, where his emotions reach %, and reanimate his passed out body, easily destroying Taruki's barrier, making the rubble of the entire school levitate and go above the clouds with Taruki. Before anything worse can happen, Mob awakens and sees the destruction he's caused. This leads his sadness to reach 100%, and he uses his power to reconstruct the entire school building from rubble. Mob is later confronted at school about his fight with Taruki, but refuses to talk about it. Later, Mob's brother Ritsu is mistaken for him and invited to go to an awakening lab to amplify his psychic powers, and on arrival comments how weak the other psychics are. When he gets back to school, Ritsu plans to get revenge for his brother. Him, along with Shinji Kamuro, form a plan to get Tenga in trouble and hopefully stop his delinquent ways. Once they plant evidence and get the school to label him as a pervert, Ritsu regrets his actions and goes home. Based on his experience at the psychic lab, he thinks that he has no psychic powers. But we see a bent spoon he was holding shortly before, proving to us that he possesses some psychic abilities. It's further proven upon arriving at home he can now see Dimple, using his new psychic abilities, but he can't help but wonder what that creature could be. Rumors of someone named White Tea Poison defeating Taruki begin to spread. At the same time, Dimple convinces Ritsu to let him help increase his power with the plot of taking over his body. Ritsu falls for it, but luckily, once Dimple enters his body he realizes he's too weak to fully control it. Ritsu, using Dimple's help, beats up the people he framed when they come to him looking for trouble. After that, Taruki shows up. Dimple tells Ritsu to run, but he wants to test his new powers, and quickly learns he is no match for Taruki and escapes. For the next few days, gang members confront Ritsu, wondering if he's White Tea Poison, and he effortlessly defeats all of them. After his latest fight, Mob appears and witnesses his brother being violent, asking him what he's doing. Ritsu attacks Mob, saying he was only nice to him because he was afraid of him, but he isn't anymore. And upon seeing his powers, Mob congratulates him on his ability, and then apologizes to the people he beat up. Megumu Koyama goes after Ritsu, who they believe to be Mob because of his file at the Awakening Lab. He easily defeats him, but as he's trying to leave with Ritsu, Mob fights him. Megumu beats Mob up, and when Ritsu tries to help, he beats him up as well, leading Mob's animosity to reach 100%. He starts destroying Megumu with ease. Realizing there's no other way, Megumu uses his trump card, with Mob shrugging it off with zero difficulty. Everyone realizing Mob is white tea poison start cheering him on. Eventually Megumu uses trickery to escape with Ritsu and Mob passes out. When he wakes up, he is at Taruki's place, and he tells him about Claw, a dangerous organization run by Espers, and telling him they took his brother to brainwash him and add him to their ranks. We then see Megumu lead Ritsu and the other Espers to a secret facility. Taruki offers his help to Mob, explaining that Claw members will come for them. Perfect timing. Tarada, another associate of Claw, appears. Underestimating them, he is dispatched quickly. Taruki tortures him and he gives up all the information he knows. Now arriving at the 7th facility by the guide of Tarada, Mob fights him again and defeats him. This leads to a commotion, letting the upper echelon leaders notice there are intruders, and they send Megumu out to take on Mob again, but kill him this time. When Megumu arrives, Mob says he doesn't have time to play around, and smashes him against the walls repeatedly until he's knocked out. The quick loss lets the leaders know they're up against someone strong. Him, Dimple, and Taruki split up, each facing their own challenges, Taruki being the first one to be captured. Mob begins fighting Mukai, who is using puppets to try and defeat him, and Dimple's facing off against an upper echelon member, Matsuo. Mob is tricked using an illusion and releases 100% emotion, taking out his enemy, but also passing out in the process. Now, Mob, Dimple, and Taruki are all captured. Reagan walks around like he owns the place, and says he's there for his subordinate, leading the guards to think he's the boss of Claw. They led him all the way to the room where the kids are being held, and he demands they be released. Just then, the upper echelon arrive, hearing of the boss being there, and attack Reagan. Taruki makes a barrier blocking for him. At this moment, Reagan sees Mob about to use his power on them, and dropkicks him, reminding him not to use it to fight, and then takes them all on alone. After punching Meraki, it infuriates him into destroying part of the facility with his power. Mob is torn, with Reagan saying don't use your power, while Ritsu and Taruki say he's the only one that can win. The final straw is seeing his friends hurt and his murderous intent reaches 100%. But just then, Reagan slaps him, bringing him back and telling him that he'll regret it later on. He sees Reagan cut down right in front of him. Mob transfers all of his abilities to Reagan, leaving only gratitude in his heart for his teacher. We then see Reagan standing up, wondering if the sword that hit him was plastic because he felt no damage. Shrugging off all the attacks with his now 1000% thanks to Mob, he begins fighting the entirety of the Claw 7th Division by himself, instantly destroying all of their abilities and smacking them around with ease. After the battle's over, Taruki takes the kid Espers and begins a sort of group with them, claiming he will help them become strong. One of the members of the 7th Division calls his father, the leader of Claw, and tells him that he must return to Japan and that they are no longer the strongest organization.
How was the video? We hope it was good. If so, please check these videos. Also, please comment down your thoughts and your suggestions for future videos. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing now to show the support to our channel. We hope to see you soon with another video right in this channel. Have a nice day.